Hi guys, welcome to my channel, or if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. So today it's going to be a bit of a different video because I'm going to be talking about a book that I just recently finished, and it's not technically an art book because it's usually the books I talk about on this channel are more instructional books, but this one is more of an inspirational book for me, and it is this book, Van Gogh by Stephen Naifeh and Gregory White-Smith. These are the two authors who also wrote the Jackson Pollock biography that won the Pulitzer Prize. So I knew right away when I got this book that this would be one of the, I guess, most comprehensive books about the artist. So yeah, so as you guys will be able to tell from the title, it took me a long time to finish this book. So I got it in 2015, and then just recently finished it, even the appendix, just a couple of days ago. So yeah, it's been a long time. So before I get into the book, this is not going to be a long review, but I just thought I'd give you guys a background of how I got interested in with Van Gogh. And yeah, so basically it was in 1999 that my sisters and I were in Europe, and we were in Amsterdam, and we got the chance to visit the Van Gogh Museum. And so at that time there were no digital cameras or smartphones, so I don't have a lot of pictures from that time, just stuff from this scrapbook that I have. So this was the outside Rijksmuseum. Oh my gosh, so long ago. And this outside the Royal Palace. And so I'll show you guys the postcards. These are the postcards that I got as a souvenir. And that's about it. I didn't have a lot of money at that time, so yeah, I was just glad to have been able to get this. So yeah, it was, I do feel that with Van Gogh, so I just found out how to pronounce it like properly. So us here in North America, we always just say Van Gogh, right? So anyways, I feel like he's that type of artist that even if you're not into art, everyone knows him, right? Like especially his Starry Night paintings. So yeah, so around 2001 I got this book, Dear Theo, which is a compilation of his letters to his younger brother Theo. And yeah, so it's been a while since I read this book, but as you guys can tell, it's really like the binding is totally ruined because I've read this book a few times, but because I haven't read it in a while, I actually don't remember specific parts of it. But yeah, this book, heartbreaking, just really reading his letters. So yeah, so on and off throughout the years, I've been interested with Van Gogh, and then so 2015, it's when I finally got this book. So I'm just gonna talk briefly about how the book is laid out, and then tell you guys why I loved it and the things I learned about Van Gogh from this book. So the book is basically divided into 3 parts, starting off with his childhood, called the early years. So there's a picture here. Is there a picture? There's a lot of pictures of not just his paintings, but personal pictures as well. I'm trying to see if there's a picture of him as a little boy. I know there's one here of Theo, but I don't know if there's one of him. That's his mom, Ana Carmentus. Oops. And here the market in Zundert, I think, where he was born. So yeah, so just that's the early years, and then The Dutch years is part 2, 1880 to 1886. And then the last part is the French years, 1886 to 1890. So I'm gonna be honest, the reason that it took me a while to read this book is that the early years I kept getting stuck reading that part for some reason. I'd started, stop, read other books, and then by the time I get back to this book, I've completely forgotten what I've read, so I'll start again from the beginning. So it's just been like that over the years. So it was, I think, around 2019, late 2019, early 2020, that I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna finish this book. So I started again, and again, it was like, I don't know why with the early years, I mean, I wouldn't call it boring, but I guess because, you know, it was before the exciting time in his life, so that really took me a while to get into it. And then the Dutch years, that's when things kind of started getting interesting, where it talks about his time at the Borinage, you know, with the mining people, and really when he started getting into being an artist. So that part was it became faster for me to read this book. And the best part was the French years. So this part, I feel like I just kind of flew by it compared to the other parts. So this is when things really got interesting. We talked about his time in Paris, where he met, you know, Toulouse-Lautrec, and, you know, the time in Gogh, and until his death. So yeah, so I really do love this book just because I learned so much from it and really debunked a lot of the myths that we know about Van Gogh. But talking about learning first, really, it was this book that really encouraged me to do the Barge, because his two main sources, according to this book, and I don't know, I'll show you. I'll read the part anyways, just so you guys know I'm not lying. He especially wanted Charles Barge's 2-part home study course in figure drawing, Exercices officiels and Cours de Dessin, and Armand Cassagne's Guide to the ABCs of Drawing, a similar how-to manual on perspective drawing. So yeah, so if you guys have seen my channel, my videos from before, you know I'm currently working through this. Really love it. He's right. This is such a great book, and I did get the other book that he's used, but I haven't read this part yet. But this is basically the book that he used to do his perspective grid that he carried around when he's doing plein air painting. Actually, even I think his studio paintings, he did use the perspective grid a lot. So, and this is the book that he used. So just to give you guys a quick flip through. It's in French, so that's also another reason that I haven't read it yet. I think I've read the first 2 pages, that's about it. Because even though I took French up to university, I am not fluent at all. So anywho, yeah, getting back into the book. So aside from this book, so other things that I've learned about Van Gogh is that he wasn't really self-taught, as the myth, I guess, would have you know. He actually did start drawing at an early age because his mom actually insisted on it. Anna, here I'll read just a part of it. Anna introduced them all to drawings, not as a childhood craft, but as an artistic endeavor. Okay. Anna's artist friends from The Hague visited Zundert, and the 3 went sketching in the town together. Vincent may or may not have tagged along that day, but in every other way he followed his mother's artistic footsteps. Using instructional drawing books and prints, he painstakingly created his first images, including a farm scene that he made for his father's birthday in February of 1864, and that was the drawing. So yeah, and he also in terms of drawing, he also did have a quick period of learning from his relative Antoine Mauve, who I think is married to one of Vincent's cousins. I can't remember now. But yeah, so this time with him though didn't last because just of clash of temperament. Vincent really didn't like, I guess, how Mauve was teaching him the classical method. Here, Mauve insisted he should start by drawing from plaster cast, the traditional method, rather than waste his time and his brother's money on play acting with street people. He spoke to me in such a way as the worst teacher at the academy would not have spoken, Vincent fumed. But he did do, like, there's actually 2 parts of this book that are glossy pages showing his paintings and work. So this is a bit of a classical. So he was really experimenting, I guess, with a lot of stuff. So, but he just said, you know what, I can't do that traditional method. And I know for a while he did go into academy, but he didn't stay there for a long time as well. Hold on, let me find the part. All right, so talking about the other education that Vincent had, he also briefly was at the Atelier Cormon, basically in Paris, where he met Toulouse-Lautrec and Emile Bernard and all those artists, basically. Yeah. So John Peter Russell did a portrait of Van Gogh right there. Yeah. So yeah, so this book is actually really overwhelming. Like, I'm not, there's so much information, not really only about Van Gogh, but the time that he lived in, the Impressionist and post-impressionistic world, and then Surat as well was discussed here, and his work at that time, and obviously the other artists that were in contact with Vincent. Yeah, and then another thing, the biggest thing I think I learned about Vincent here was about his death, because you know, we all, I mean, I think most people know about the myth about his, you know, suicide, but really after reading this book I realized no, it wasn't suicide. And I mean, it was never really proven that there were other parties involved. But if you guys will Google René Secretan, R-E-N-E, and then last name S-E-C-R-E-T-A-N. He was a teenager at that time, and I actually do believe, as the authors do, that he was involved somehow with Vincent's death. It might have been accidental, because at that time René, I guess, was a bit of a bully, and he was one of the teenagers who would always pull a prank on Vincent in his time in the Arles, basically, you know, before he killed himself. So the theory was that, you know, right, that Vincent shot himself. But if you guys read this book, you'll, you know, and the facts that were put forward, I do believe it was René perhaps, and other kids in his group who accidentally shot Vincent, and he was just really protecting them. So he didn't name names when he came to Ravouin, clutching his belly with a bullet wound. You know, he was saying, no, there's no one else involved. It was basically, I think he was trying to protect his boys, because the theory as well is that Vincent at that time, he was okay with dying. I'm telling you, it was really heartbreaking, even talking about it, just talking about his death, because it was really at that point in his life, close to the end. It was really sad, because even though at that time he already had an amazing, I shouldn't say amazing, but it was the first critic, there was an art critic named Albert Aurier, who wrote an article about Vincent, really praising his work, you know, and this was close to the end of Vincent's life. It was just, it was really sad about really at that end because of the mental issues that Vincent was having. Yeah, so even that wasn't enough, I guess, to kind of make him, is it assuage his guilt? Because he, I think, really even close to his life, close to his death, oh my gosh, sorry guys. He really felt a lot of guilt, especially with how he was so dependent on Theo, and at that time Theo was already ill with syphilis and also just had a baby after just, you know, being married to Joe. So it was really hard, but yeah, it was really heartbreaking just reading about that part. So, but I'm glad really to have read it. And I mean, I will say that this book really shows how Vincent really wasn't perfect. Like, there was really a part of this book, especially during the Dutch years, where I actually even thought to myself, there's no way in hell that I would have had the patience to deal with someone like him, especially as a brother or as a close friend, because he was especially with Theo, he was so self-absorbed in a lot of the Dutch years, I should say, when he was at the Bornage, and you know, just asking Theo for more money to supply him with paints and canvases and stuff like that. And Theo at that time was not just supporting him, but he was also supporting his mom and dad, like giving them money. So but also Theo wasn't perfect too, because during the Paris years, I think Theo has just had enough with Vincent. So there was a lot of apathy at the end, especially when he got involved with Joe, you know, because Theo obviously, you know, like just wanted to be with at that time with his not even fiance, I think, when he just met Joe, and then just kind of became obsessed with her, that, you know, like everything was about Joe, right? So Theo obviously, I mean, he had his reasons, but yeah, so all in all, I really do highly recommend this book. Oh my gosh, like I know I'm not doing it justice by talking about it the way I am now, but really, if you're a Van Gogh fan, just really such an amazing biography of him. So 10 out of 10. Very well written, very well edited. The way everything flowed, just perfect for me. And yeah, anyways, that is it for today. I hope you guys learned something anyways from this video. And as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to comment down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.